Listen up, people. 2 out of 10 businesses that are starting next year will have failed by the end of the year. And 6 out of those 10 businesses will have failed in year 3. And guess who was a victim of that statistic? Your boy Marvin. Yes, your boy Marvin failed in his first year of business. And so today I want to share a little bit of my story and the 5 lessons that I learned as a young entrepreneur when I failed in my first business and lost over $10,000 of borrowed money. Yes, I said it, $10,000 of borrowed money. So from a young age, I was always interested in business, in buying, selling, making a profit, butter exchange, And I remember this one time, my dad bought me shoes, and I think I was like 14 years. My dad bought me shoes, and I go to school, and one of these kids liked my shoes, and they gave me a compliment. Hey, I like your shoes, and I was like, I like them too, but if you have money, I can give them to you. And this kid, asked me how much, and I just threw out a figure, which was like 3 times more, and he gave me the money. And I went home, got into trouble with my dad, of course, had to make up stories. And then, but I had made a profit. And then I remember also this time when a friend of mine, and this is when I was like 18, a friend of 17, a friend of mine, didn't have money, but he had a sweater that I really liked. And he wanted to impress his girlfriend, and he came to me. And he's like, Marvin, I have a problem. I need some money. I asked him, how much do you need? And he told me the amount. And then I told him, hey, I have the money, but there's something that you have that I want. And I knew, he really loved that sweater, and so he gave me the sweater, and I gave him the money. We exchanged, and so and guess what? The next day, I sold that same sweater, 5 times more the money that he had given me. And fast forward when in my 20s, in my 20s, I decided to venture out, in retail and start my own business, my first actual business. And little did I know that was a whole nother ball game. And so I borrowed money, over $10,000, borrowed money, and started off. And of course, within the first year, it failed, and had to pay the loan back. And that brings me to my first point. Don't be quick to be a boss. Because if you want to be a boss, you gotta cut that check. And so, what I mean by that is start small. Start small, guys. Don't try to impress someone. Don't try to impress people. Because I feel like when I started at that age, my first business, in a way, yes, I was trying to impress people. Because here I have this big store, my business partner and I, we have a big store, we have employees, and this is even before our first sale. We have more employees than we needed. We have a high rent, we have council tax, we have all these, expenses. We have a nice table, we have a nice carpet, we have all these, the rate at which money was flowing out was higher than the rate at which money was flowing in. So basically, our cash flow was not good. And so the lesson that I learned was start small. Why? Because when you start small, first, you minimize your risk. You have, you maximize your profit, and then you leave room to flex and grow. And so here we are, spending all this money, borrowed money, to buy all these things instead of starting small in a place that we could afford, in a place that we could, have room to grow. And so, in the beginning, be satisfied with doing everything. You have to be the marketing manager, you have to be the sales manager, you have to be all these things. Why? Because you're still starting small, and you don't have to spend all that money paying other people to do that job for you, because then you're trying to stretch that dollar. You're trying to stretch that, that dollar to grow your business. And so that's my first point. Do not try to be a boss too early. And so my next point is take some time to learn business fundamentals. This was one of my pitfalls because I did not take time to learn what things like budgets were, financial planning, profit and loss, assets, liabilities. These were things that I did not take time to learn. And as a result, it made our business, have to collapse. There are principles that must be respected regardless of who you are. Whether it's young or old, principles like gravity must be respected. And business is the same. It has its own principles that must be respected. The business principles will always supersede what you think you know. I repeat that. The business principles will always supersede what you think you know. I don't care whether your business name is Holy Fire. If the business principles are not taken into consideration, that fire will be no more. Whether you are the best looking boutique on the street, but your cash flow is not, flowing in the right direction, your business is going to get flushed. And so this was an important lesson that I learned, in that 1 year, in that first year when I first started out, as a young entrepreneur, that I must take time to invest in learning business principles. There's a saying that goes, what got you here will not necessarily take you there. And that ties in perfectly with my next point that says, what works today will not necessarily work tomorrow. In this first business of ours, we already had started seeing clients coming in, and, we had started getting a little bit of some money coming in. And instead of hitting the gas pedal, you know what we did? We became complacent and lazy and thought, oh, well, clients will always come. And little did we know that the competition was on our backs, and they were thinking outside the box and being innovative in their business. And while for us we were lazy, they were growing, and eventually we became irrelevant. And that's how we got swallowed up by the competition, and we were in business no more. And so for me, that's the lesson that I learned, that if you stop being innovative, you will become irrelevant and competition will swallow you. And so my next point is get paid. Get paid, guys. Don't be a martyr. A business should be able to pay you if it's making money. If a business is not paying you, then that means there are a few things that are not going right. Either it's your pricing, maybe the expenses are high and you need to cut on some costs, but a business must be paying you. And for me that was one of the reasons that made me become complacent, because I was putting in more energy and doing a lot of work, but I wasn't getting any returns. And you know what? I remember putting on this particular red t-shirt and a blue jean for a long time because I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't seeing returns. And that in a way discouraged me. But a business that's making money should be able to pay you. It might not pay you the exact market rate, but at least it should be paying you something. A business that is not paying you is a hobby. Yes, it's good to reinvest the money. It's good to reinvest a certain portion of the money, but at least something also should be coming to you. You should be seeing a return of your energy that's going in the business. And my last point is, without a vision, you will not see your way to success. You need to commit to a vision. You need to commit to the goals that you write down. This was one of the pitfalls that we had. At the beginning of the year, we were so pumped up. We are ready. We are writing down the visions. We are writing down the business goals and things that we want to see, things that we want to achieve, And guess what? We could not commit to those visions and goals that we had written down. That's where the challenge always comes. You write down the goals, you're excited, you have all these plans, all these amazing things that you want to do for the business, but then you do not commit through. Following through is always important. And one of our goals, one of the things that we really wanted for the business was to have an emergency fund for the business. And so we built that emergency fund, but then with time, the business needed some money. We kept getting the money out, and we did not rebuild back that emergency fund. And guess what? Towards the end of the year, when we needed money to reinvest in the business, we didn't have no money. And guess what? We had to be out of business because the business needed quite a bit of money, which we did not have. That's an important lesson, that when you put down goals and write down those visions, you need to commit. Because when you do not commit to those visions and goals, you're going to be, your business will collapse and, you'll be out of business. All right, let me sum this up. And I'm telling you all this so that you do not become a victim of that statistic that I mentioned in the beginning. When you're thinking of starting up something like a business or whichever venture that you might be thinking of getting into, do your homework, be flexible, pay yourself, be mindful of the competition. Don't lose sight of the goals. There's this saying by Winston Churchill that says, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. I really want to thank you so much for allowing me today to come into your space and sharing the lessons that I learned in my first business. And I hope there's one or two things that you have learned. And I want to encourage you to, leave me a comment, subscribe to this channel, share and like, and I hope to be with you in the next episode.